With us for NBA Countdown coming up the top of the next hour. Stephen A., Jalen, Michael Wilbon. We have a million things to get into, and obviously it begins with the latest on the situation in Philadelphia. And for that, let's bring in Tim Bontemps, who was at the game tonight, will be covering and has the very latest on what has been a very eventful day in Philadelphia. Tim, what can you tell us?
Well, Greeny, I just got done talking to Doc Rivers, and after Ben Simmons met with the team this morning, Doc went out of his way to frame this as a very positive step forward, saying multiple times today was a good day. And really, whenever he was asked for any kind of timeline in this situation, he went out of his way to say, look, I'm only focused on what's happening right now, and right now I'm focused on what happened this morning, which was a good thing for the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, obviously, this is the first time that Ben Simmons has really engaged with his teammates since coming back from missing the first couple of weeks of training camp as he went through this holdout, trying to get traded away from the Philadelphia 76ers. And Joel Embiid, when I asked him on Tuesday if he talked to Ben Simmons at this point, told me that he hadn't. And so today was the first time they had any kind of dialogue at all. And that's another thing that Doc Rivers framed as a positive step forward, saying that he's focused on the possibilities of what's to come rather than focusing on the problem that's immediately at hand. So, look, this is obviously a rough situation for the Sixers. It's not something that they're happy about, but they're trying to frame this as a good step forward, and we'll wait and see where it goes from here.
All right, Tim Bontemps, thank you. We'll be with you all night long tonight as we get set for the game. We bring it out here. And Stephen A., I'll start with you. Obviously, the dynamic changes a little, but I think the primary question remains the same. Will Ben Simmons ever play for the Sixers again?
I can't see it. I truly cannot, Greeny, Wilbon, Jalen. Here's the deal. Certainly, it's a possibility because if you don't move him, you have to surmise that the guy's going to ultimately want to get his $33+ million per year, and at some time he'll have to come back for that. But by taking the position that he has taken and given indications, because the reports initially said when they came out this morning that he connected with the Sixers players, the Sixers staff, their medical staff. And so when you said medical and he has no injury to speak of, and then they brought into the issue his mental state of mind, well, then you're talking about mental health. And because of that, that sounds to me like the perfect way to depart from playing for the team while still ensuring you're getting paid. I'm in no way questioning. I'm not qualified to question the legitimacy as to whether it's true or not. None of us are doing that. What I'm saying is ultimately what it means is that you're not going to play, but you're still going to get paid because they're going to have a hard time taking your money from you.
I actually believe he does end up playing for the team again. Like, your actions have to equal getting towards your goals. And the Sixers and he ultimately want him moved. The only way that's going to happen is to rebuild his value. He lost it last year when they got bounced in the process to the Atlanta Hawks. So now he has to get back out there and play. They had a turbulent offseason. It's not just on him. I also blame Daryl Morey. When you get this job and you look at Ben Simmons' deal, you have to look at what me and you talked about. These two parts don't fit going long term.
Right.
So if you know you got to move them, it can't get to this point.
It's so toxic, though. I don't think he can rebuild his value by playing for the Sixers. How? His teammates don't want to play. Joel Embiid didn't want him there. So how can you rebuild the value? Yes, Jalen, you're right. That's what they hope for. But here's where, and Daryl Morey seemed to have all the leverage yesterday when he talked about this can go for 4 years. Mm-hmm. And you know who reclaimed some leverage today? Ben Simmons. Mm-hmm. Because when you think about what we've seen and heard from Naomi Osaka and Simone Biles, two people who are much greater in their respective sports than Ben Simmons is in his, much more accomplished as champions. Then you look at this and you say, okay, now Ben has talked about this. We have to listen. We have to take it seriously, even though we're just like Stephen A. said, none of us are qualified to question how legitimate this is. But once you have that out there, I said yesterday or 2 days ago, it was a messy divorce. It just got messier. Mm-hmm. So now who's going to determine whether or not his mental situation right now, mental, emotional situation, allows him to even get out there for the Philadelphia 76ers or any other team at this point?
I think the thing that we have to pay attention to, guys, is this. I'm not disagreeing with where y'all are coming from. I'm simply making the point that, again, if you're going to bring into issue mental health, and that's a reason that can be utilized for you to stay home while getting paid, and everybody and their grandmother knows he did not want to be on that court tonight for the Philadelphia 76ers because of that fan base and how they were going to greet him in light of the fact that they interpreted his actions throughout the offseason as blaming them for him not stepping up. That's some heat he didn't want to take. Doc Rivers is happy because all Doc Rivers wants from him is two things: talk to your teammates, which he did today, and show up against those fans, which he has not done. And until he does that, that's the huge question mark. And where do you go? Where do you go?
But in losing, there's pain.
Yeah.
And Kawhi Leonard's shot broke their heart. And I always felt in watching Ben Simmons, there was a psychological block for a player so very skilled, so very talented, that doesn't attempt shots outside of the paint. That was extraordinary for a guy that played the point guard position.
All right, we'll talk much more about this on Countdown coming up at the top of the next hour. I can also mention not only no Simmons tonight, Joel Embiid 50-50 to play tonight. Blake Griffin will be out there. He had 18 dunks for the Nets last year. Will we see any from him tonight? It's the Nets and the Sixers, 7:30 Eastern here on ESPN. Right now, Kevin, SportsCenter, back to you.
Greeny, thank you. Back here with Ellen Kevin. Time to check. So no Simmons tonight for the Sixers as they face off against the Nets, who are playing without Kyrie Irving. That game coming your way, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. SportsCenter taking you to NBA Countdown. Now, Simmons and Joel Embiid, they went 35-7 together last season. That's the best win percentage by any duo to share 500 minutes on the court together last season. The second best duo? Kyrie and James Harden. The Nets are missing one of the game's great scores there in Irving. Last season, he became just the fourth player to average 25 points on that 50, 40, 90% breakdown. And the Sixers on the other side, they won't miss the scoring. They're going to miss one of the elite defenders in Simmons. How about allowing shooters to convert just 42% of their field goals as the closest defender over the last 4 seasons? That's the third lowest by any player in that span. Sixers had the chance to hear from Ben Simmons earlier today. Simmons will not be playing, and one of the veterans on that Sixers team, Tobias Harris, tweeting this out about that conversation as Simmons alluded to not being mentally ready to move forward. Tobias tweeting, "We'll respect his privacy and space during this time. When he's ready, we will embrace our brother with love and handle our business on the court. That's it. That's all." Senior NBA insider Adrian Woj joining us now with much more on this developing story. Woj, as you reported earlier today, Simmons meeting with the team this morning, but won't be with them. What should we expect next now between these two sides?
Kevin, essentially now Ben Simmons will address some of these mental health concerns. He will seek some professional help and get an evaluation. And the Sixers certainly, they're giving him all the resources that he needs and making available, the organization's assistance in that matter and giving him space, understanding just like if a player had a knee injury or a foot injury, that mental health is to be taken as seriously and treated, treated certainly just like a physical ailment. And listen, there's contractual language in Ben Simmons' contract that provides mental health protection if he has to miss time. But what will be interesting here moving forward is, if there's a time when, Ben Simmons might want to come back and play or may not want to come back and play or be able to, how that is handled, I think, contractually with the Sixers. We haven't seen a case quite like this one or a situation like this one when we know the player, Ben Simmons, certainly has wanted a trade, did not want to report to camp, finally did so. And so we'll see now how these sides work together, to try to give Ben Simmons the help that he might need and see what it means in terms of his future with the Sixers or perhaps someone else in the NBA.
Okay, now also keep this in mind leading up to tonight. Joel Embiid dealing with knee soreness. He'll test that knee during pregame to see if he can play tonight. Woj with the very latest on the Sixers. Much more on NBA Countdown after SportsCenter. We got some new stuff coming in the last 15 minutes. This is Doc Rivers on the Simmons situation.
Yeah, he's part of the team, Keith. I don't know how many more times I can say that. Like, he is part of the team, and we have certain rules, obviously, and last week or the other day that didn't happen, but today was a good day. And, I think, and I've always done it. You guys look at, or not you guys, but most people, we look at problems instead of the possibilities. And I think if we focus on the possibilities, just in life in general, you have a pretty good chance of going to a good place. You focus on the problems, you're probably going to continue to have problems.
Well, much more on this developing story also. We'll take a closer look at the Nets, how Brooklyn is moving past the Kyrie Irving situation and adjusting to life without their star point guard. Elle?
All right.